This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of the first, 6 seasons of The Flash. And I'm going over technically, I'm going from season 1 to pre-crisis, which, since 6A is technically a separate season, I'm technically going over those first 6 seasons. And of course that's English technically, so let's go over all of them. And I'm going to keep it kind of brief because I'm going over a lot more than I did even in the Arrow ones. And I'm probably only going to spend a good amount of time on seasons 1, 2, and 6A. So, let's talk about the seasons. First, season 1 definitely is the best season. A very compelling storyline and very, interesting stuff going on. Vaughn as Harrison Wells was a great villain, and really it was just so fun to see this. Season 1 definitely made me fall in love with the show, and I've been watching it ever since. The main storylines had some really good episodes. Let's think, there is the one where Barry time travels. That's a great episode. We have the finale, which is amazing. Even the one before it, I think it was really that bad in season 1. It was all really good. And is definitely a contender up there in the top 3 for best seasons of the Arrowverse. And is definitely, it's close with the other 2 being Arrow season 8 and Superman and Lois season 1. I think that the 3 of those would make up the top 3. And then probably Arrow season 2 would be right after it. And the Flash season 2 would be over there also. But honestly, this was such a great season, and is, as I said, one of my favorites. And going to Flash season 2, that's another great season. Zoom was definitely an interesting villain, and really of all the Flash's twist villains, I think it was the one that was done the best. And mainly, I think that because, you knew something was always off with Wells, when he still thought he was Wells back in the beginning of, from the first episode where it shows he could walk and knew of the future. So we really weren't too sure about that. And, we knew something was up, and then it was eventually revealed he was the Reverse Flash. And then Savitar. Honestly, I remember, kind of figuring that out before. I don't even know what it was, I just figured it out. And, DeVoe, Cicada, and all the other villains after that were not surprise villains. We, I think, basically knew their identities by their first appearance. And they technically didn't go for Flash season 7, season 7's first storyline. But that's not really, something to talk about right now. So, looking at it, I'd say that it's pretty, understandable to see Zoom as the best twist and the villain in it, because we didn't really think it would be Jay. And I think that, honestly, that's the main reason why it's the best twist one, because, the other ones you can kind of either see, or, honestly, there was enough clues, but with him, honestly, unless you knew Hunter's element in the comics, and I'm saying that it was his doppelganger, that was probably the only clue he gave to him actually being potentially a villain. But I'll say I didn't know that, so I think that was, the best one for a twist. We can have some great episodes that season, although it has a kind of bad resolution to the cliffhanger in the first episode. But honestly, I think that one's just like, Leanne Yu's conclusion in season 6 of Arrow, where it was just a really bad conclusion to a great episode, and kind of made the stakes and everything set up by that. Honestly, not as, good. But this one didn't exactly ruin it. It was just kind of like disappointing conclusion to season 2, season 1's finale. And honestly, that's not much to say. It had a kind of a weak villain with Adam Smasher. But besides that, I think most of season 2 is really good. It introduced my favorite version of Wells, Harry Wells. Not counting Fawn, since he's technically not a Wells, but also is kind of a Wells. But yeah, you know that if you watched, the back half of season 6, which I'm not going over right now. And really with season 2, I'll say it's just, it was a really fun season, and I really enjoyed it. Season 3, I also don't think it's as bad as we remember. I think it's pretty enjoyable. It's definitely not the best one, and it's the weakest out of the first 3, but it's still, I think, good enough. Savitar was a pretty interesting, intimidating villain, and I think maybe one of the greatest mistakes was to both reveal his identity a little too late, and I don't know what it was. Besides that, I think it was just the season just didn't feel as good because the movie was a little too repetitive with speedster villains that had a secret identity. There was a good twist to actually being, an ally, and if it was pushed back a little bit to maybe season 4 or 5, I think it would have been seen as a better, storyline. And with the rest, this way, season 3 was decent. Going into season 4, I think the main problem was the body swapping, but besides that, I think it was a pretty good season. It might have been, a little too far in comedy. I've noticed every time they were trying to be funny a little too much, but honestly, I think that it just has some flaws, and, besides that, I think it's, pretty decent. But I think, the greatest problem with that was the body swapping storyline, because, it was just felt a little too long, and I think that DeVoe, when played by the main actor, was really good. And also, I really liked the prison storyline. That was an interesting one to see. And really, I think that's all I'll say about season 4. Season 5, definitely, I think, was the worst one just because of the villains, Cicada, both cicadas. It just kind of felt like they, were just, kind of defeated, escaped, and it just kept happening. And I think honestly, the most interesting part was Thawne being there, but that was, the one thing that I think kind of kept it together to being a watchable season. I think Nora was an okay character in there, and really, I think with storyline wise, it was okay. It was kind of the weakest one. And I do know that people would say season 7 was, but I do agree with, it's Paigey who said it, one of the YouTubers who covers Arrowverse stuff, and it's just kind of like the core episodes in the whole season 7 were really weak, being like, the conclusion episodes to the storylines. And I think that's why season 7 is just, a lot of people don't like it since it was really hurt where it matters. But I'll be going back over that in the next one of these, where I just go over season 6 and 7. And I probably, even though I'll be finishing that probably by the end of this week, won't be for another 2 weeks. I think I already have a good idea what my well-scheduled videos will be next week, for at least Tuesday and Thursday. And really for the rest, well, going to season 6A, that was definitely one of the best seasons. And that's honestly because I think Bloodwork was such an interesting villain, and the build up to Crisis was really interesting. And I think that's what really made season 6A, the Bloodwork storyline, so good, with Barry having to prepare everyone for it. Although I don't think it was, on the same level as Arrow season 8, which was an amazing setup for Crisis, but also a great, respect to the rest of the seasons and tribute to them. But I still think that Flash season 6 was 6A, as you would call it, I think, was the third best season. And I'm thinking it probably followed by the Saboteur, and then the and then the Defoe one. And then I'd say maybe the Godspeed one would be next, and then um, and then I think it could be go either way, but between the Cicadas and I think most of the Speed Force arc, which I'll be talking about in the next one, was pretty good. It was just, as I said, failed in the ending, but that'll be in the next video. So really with the Flash, honestly, I think that it's dropped down a bunch in my opinion. After I started to think about stuff, I think initially it was one of my favorite, but when I think of it, I knew that Clone Wars had to be my favorite show, and even before Bad Batch came out, which I think is a great sequel to it, I still like when I think of it, Gotham more. And honestly, I think I just like Arrow slightly a little better, even though season 4 is worse than the worst season of The Flash. Whether you take that as season 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, as I don't think any of those seasons are necessarily bad to me. Season 5 is the worst one in my opinion, but I mean, just to say it, I'm thinking that really it was in a kind of with Arrow season 4 being the worst one. I still think definitely season 8 is what pushed it as a little better than me, to me, and then honestly, I'm just a lot of fun watching all of this, and really I am just excited to see the next season of The Flash, which is supposed to have a big crossover at the start. And wow, I actually did keep this pretty fast. We're only at like nearly 14 minutes. So next week I'll definitely be having a review of Shang-Chi out, probably on Tuesday, and then Thursday I'll be reviewing Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then the 3 episodes that kind of serve as aftermath to it, including Green Arrow and the Canaries, Fade Out from Arrow, and then Marathon from The Flash. So there'll be reviews of those out next week. And I don't know if I'm going to do anything on Monday. Oh, and Sunday will definitely be my 1-year anniversary special. So it's probably going to be, I don't know if you're watching this, would rather see, it's going to be like a kind of a improv what if. So I'm going to be looking at, different storylines, and I'm thinking, what if Alderaan had a giant mirror? Which I think would be, a funny one, because Honestly, I feel like that one's going to be so ridiculous it doesn't need a fully written out story. But what do you think I should do? And honestly, I just will see you all in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.